Oh, are we in 4K?
We're in 4K.
Yeah.
So my camera is only capable of recording in 180 or 1080p, so I'm only in 1080p.
Well, that sucks for you.
That does suck.
Welcome back, us. We are episode 3 of the All Boys GOATScast. We are on what? How long of a hiatus did we take? Like 3 or 4 months?
Several
Does
months.
anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot going on, but we're back, and we're joined by the newest boy to my that way, Jose. He's my old neighbor, but now he's a homie. He's a boy. That's all the qualifications you need
I
here.
thought you were gonna say now he's homeless.
That too.
Craig got me evicted for some reason.
Oh man, but yeah, we're back. So a few things have happened since then. Life mostly. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom came out, so we're probably gonna end up talking about that.
Yeah.
I redid my entire list, and like I moved things around. I'm not gonna go into my list again, but we'll probably have some stuff to talk about. But yeah, one of the biggest changes we made is right here. I'm sharing the wrong screen, huh? Hold on, give me 1 second. Now I'm I'm streaming the list, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So number one thing we've changed is now it's top 100. We were doing the top 50, but it became a little too complicated. We had to figure out what to cut and get rid of, and it was a little restrictive. So we all just kind of came together and said, let's do a top 100. So we're going to do that now. We'll be able to integrate all the games we all kind of agree on, at least in some point, into it. And then we'll be able to kind of put our own spin on it. Yeah. So with that said, Jose, you're up, just like Dino did in episode 2, man. We're going to talk about your list. And tell us what you went into your list, what you're feeling, and anything else you want to talk about.
Yeah, so I think if you look at my list, it's probably going to stand out that there's not a lot of PC games on there. That's I was looking at everyone else's list, and there was some of them just like littered with PC games. And I'm like, yeah, I haven't played that. And that's only because I didn't really have a PC growing up. I was a console kid growing up. I did have a PC right around the early 2000s, right around the time Half-Life 2 came out, which is I think that's on my list. I think got the original Call of Duty on PC anyway, but I was a PC nerd for a good like 3 or 4 years. So there's a couple of them snuck their way onto that list, but most of the stuff you're gonna see is just console stuff, just because that's where I primarily game. But and I saw watching you guys last time, and you guys were talking about like stuff that you didn't really kind of like, oh man, I wish this was on my list. I just didn't make the top 50. And I got to thinking, like, my list was kind of like, man, the games that I didn't quite make the list, but I wish my list was longer. This is just a ton of arcade stuff that I wasn't able to put on there. A lot of like old school beat 'em ups. I'm talking about the Punisher, X-Men, that kind of stuff. Just great. Had have tons of memories with them. Had a great time with them, but they just weren't. I couldn't bump, Fallout 3, for example, and put X-Men Arcade. Just because Fallout 3 was just a special game for me when it came out. It came out during a time where I was like, I think at the time I just lost my job. I was like the last game, my last paycheck, I bought like Fallout 3, and I was out of work for like 2 months, and all I played was Fallout 3.
It's the right kind of game. What did you play it on, like 360 or?
On 360, yeah. Back in the day, I was playing it on 360.
Nice.
And I was able to just kind of escape in that, and just even to this day, I don't think I've played through it again in a while. I'm kind of afraid to, because it's such a special game for me. But yeah, that was just that game got me through some tough times. I remember it. I remember really, really well.
Yeah, games as escapism, right?
Totally.
Wait,
yeah.
that was Fallout 3?
Fallout 3, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. Honestly, I think that time, that was like right around where times were tough for a lot of people, right? It was like 2008.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Recession gaming, right?
It was, I think I lost my job. It wasn't even because of the recession. It was because I had gotten into like my like my 5th accident in like 3 months.
Jesus Christ, man.
It was nuts. Yeah,
I'm not driving with you, dude. Damn.
it was in a work truck. It was like a crazy 6 months. I haven't got in an accident since, but which was like 15 years ago. But it was nuts. But yeah, it got me through there for sure. But yeah, like I said, I was a console kid, so you're gonna see a lot of console stuff on mine. I didn't see anybody else pick Super Mario 3D Land, and that to me was an also special game, just for the fact that it didn't come out in a tough time for me. But I just remember, picking up the 3DS. I was so skeptical of the 3DS at the time. I didn't really. I think I picked it up just because it was a Nintendo thing, but there was really nothing out there. But everyone's talking about Mario 3D Land is going to be great. Fired it up, and I was instantly blown away. And I could pick it up today. It's in my 3DS right now in my room, and I can have fun with.
This gameplay video must be on some kind of emulator or something. This looks really clean.
It's
yeah, that's an emulator.
It's
sure.
underrated for sure. Like I had a lot of fun with that game.
This. It looks good though.
Yeah, it's a fucking awesome game. I agree.
Yeah, this is probably like on a high end PC or something.
Another port for Nintendo put on the Switch.
Sounds like.
I forgot you put that shit on me. No, but I remember when because this came out after Galaxy, and I remember just being like, man, I wish I just had like a flat fucking game. Like the planet thing was cool, but like I'm a weirdo about controls, and I don't know. I saw this, and I was like, all right, this looks good, and then I never bought it. So.
And the sequel is I guess they don't really call it the sequel, but it's the sequel. It's the one that came out for Wii U, and it's not on Switch now.
Oh.
3D World,
3D
I guess.
World? Yeah, I can kick ass.
Yeah, and it's the same formula.
Which one?
Mario 3D World.
Mario 3D World.
That's the one that added That's the one that added the cat suit, and I think it's like culturally significant because they even had that in the movie and everything. So the cat suit's like a big thing.
Yeah. Yeah, they added that, but it's the exact same formula. It's almost like pseudo mixing the 3D concept with the 2D stuff and the time levels, and it's they got, I think the objective or to get like 100%, you have to get like the 3 coins, and it's the same thing as 3D Land. But I think 3D Land is better. I think it's just more fun.
How did they use the bottom screen?
I think it was for like item placement, like if you in these games you can sort of like store an item.
The box and stuff.
Yeah, that was that, and I think they also had like sort of like a map or something like that. I don't remember exactly how they used it, but something like that.
Dope.
And also, I didn't see anybody else also pick. This was a huge game for me growing up too, just because. I love football. The arcades were still kind of popping at this time. Is NFL Blitz?
Yeah,
that was. I remember when that came out. Arcades were kind of like sort of dying at that time, and when this came out, I was like, you could. I didn't have enough quarters. I mean, you couldn't give me enough quarters to play this damn thing.
I had that on N64.
Yeah, I was going to say the N64 version was pretty fun.
Yeah,
yeah,
and
the arcade to N64 was like a pretty decent. Like,
it was a good port.
I remember a good port.
A solid port, yeah. I remember almost getting into fist fights with my friends because of this damn game.
It's surprisingly fast paced.
It was like, for me, it was like a hallmark game of that era, right? Like, because you were at that point, it's like this game came out on 64. 64 was the first console with 4 ports on it, at least that I remember. And then, you'd be telling your friends, "Yeah, come over, let's play 64. I got, we're gonna do Mario Kart 64, I do NFL Blitz, got, WCW, NWO Revenge. You got all these different ways that, like, now your fucking your little kid sleepovers and stuff are like fucking dope because you guys were playing games like all night. Oh yeah, how could I forget? Fucking Eagle Eye, man. But yeah, was it like, so did you play like the original Blitz? Because I know there's like it was like Blitz.
There's several versions. There was several versions of it. The original NFL Blitz will always be just like,
Look at that hair texture, dude. Look at that hair texture.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh my god.
Look at that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, but all the rest of them were decent enough. But I think the original just had that magic that I don't think the others captured. But this one certainly did for sure.
Yeah,
a
do you
lot
know
of people
who?
pick Super Metroid.
I was gonna say, do you know who Jeff Gertzman is?
The guy that works at GameStop. I mean, not worked at
He used to do
GameSpot. I'm sorry.
GameSpot, and then he used to do
GameStop.
Giant Bomb. But yeah, he's that
Yes,
guy who's been in the industry for like 30 fucking years or something like that. And
sure.
yeah, I know Chris knows like fucking like he's like some kind of like NFL Blitz grandmaster, and like he's like
Oh, really?
tournaments and like won arcades. You know anything more about that, Chris? I always forget the story.
Yeah, I think it was during. I think it was for like Blitz '99. I think it was like the second arcade version, and there was some kind of media event or something. I want to, maybe it was at E3. But anyways, I guess he like just fucked everybody up, just completely destroyed everybody, and then I think I think the prize was like winning an actual arcade.
Yeah, he
right?
won the arcade.
Yeah.
Oh, really? The cabinet? Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, pretty dope.
I just remember that.
Great game.
Yeah, solid.
Oh, yeah, super good game. Everybody we're all in agreement with Super Metroid's a good game. Who hasn't played Super Metroid?
Justin, probably.
I've played the first hour and a half of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
how does it grab you as a game made like 30 years ago?
You know, I thought I would hate it a lot, and
really,
you know, yeah, I was like, man, because like I'm not a huge platformer person in general, so I was like, yeah, but like, I don't know, and just like, you don't expect older games to like catch you with like a vibe, you know, like with like the atmosphere and stuff, because they just had so much less like graphics and sound like capability, so it's like the expectations, you know, I was like, oh, you know, everybody says this is like great, but like I was really surprised by like how much like atmosphere like that game provides with such little like technology.
Yeah, for a game that came out in 1994, it has like pretty high production values. You know, it has like the little intro cutscene with the camera panning and you know, the voice intro of you know, before you get on the space station. Yeah, for its time, it was definitely ahead of its time. Even having a map, I mean, it sounds kind of crazy looking back on it now, but being able to press select and bring up your, you know, the map of the area that that you're exploring, like even that was kind of forward looking for the time.
Yeah,
the music is really good in that game.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and some of the tracks they still
It's
even
very
Metroid
eerie.
Prime some uses some of the tracks.
Yeah. So
the word vibe was like really the word that hits it for this. It has its own distinct sort of vibe in a way that the other games that I guess in a way that a lot of other games don't have, both then and now, really.
yeah, like so background, so Justin didn't actually he wasn't allowed to play games much as a kid. So like we've been giving him like this homework, go back and play these classics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this is one of the games we wanted to see what he thought of. But yeah, so like you know, like so what about your memories with it?
Yeah, I mean it's funny. I was, you know, the console that I have the most nostalgia for is not the NES. It's actually the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Because I was at the age where, you know, I could actually go rent games, you know, kind of beat them, you know, for once. You know, a little kid, you can't really beat, especially NES games. Forget it. I had a lot of good time, a lot of fun with them. But Super Metroid actually was one of the games I didn't really even beat until I got older, because number one, I couldn't. My parents were only buying me like maybe one game a year, maybe two if I was lucky.
Yeah.
And at the time, I think I wanted like Mortal Kombat or something like that, you know, for Super Nintendo. And but so it didn't really get on my list of great games until I was much older, you know, probably like in my 20s. And I was able to actually, I think at the time I was able to emulate it on my PC at the time.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't have it as a kid, but I always knew it was a good game because everyone always ranted and raved about it. So I was like, let me try this for myself, and yeah, sure enough, it It's awesome, man. Metroid has become one of my favorite franchises.
Remember when you used to run a game and you would like save on the cartridge and you just like prayed to God that if you read the game again, you still had your save on there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's when you would rent the game, you would clear the other two, like the first.
All right, Justin, check this shit out.
Third one.
So you're fighting the last boss, and it starts beating the shit out of you. He just does this crazy ass laser beam.
Spoilers.
Yeah. He's never gonna fucking play.
I think we need context. So before you even go into that, you have to remember that in the very beginning of Super
This
Metroid.
happens.
So no, even before that, in the very beginning of the game, you're in the space station, and Ridley, the dragon dude, comes in and essentially grabs this Metroid because it's the last Metroid in the universe. And so it's kind of like this. In this Metroid, you actually find at the end of Metroid 2, and it's like it thinks it's your mom and all this shit, right? Cutesy, right? So yeah, it's like this moment where it's actually like, whoa, there's like story payoff in a video game, and it's not. It didn't have to do with cutscenes or anything. It just kind of gives you these little pieces, and you're like, oh, holy shit, this giant fucking Metroid is here now. So, anyways.
Yeah, and so then you're out here fighting the last boss. He does this unavoidable attack on you, and it's like you're just sitting there like, cool. How the fuck do I dodge this as the player in 1994?
Yeah.
Let's see if he does it here. Yeah, okay. It'll bring you down to like fucking 1 HP. You're like, what's gonna happen? Oh my god.
So also you gotta remember, like at this point in games, like shit like this never happened. So I remember the first time playing this, I was like pounding the buttons.
Your ass.
I'm like, what the fuck? I can't move. I was so fucking pissed, panicking.
Yeah. Like I'm not dying to this shit.
Yeah, and then this fucking shit happens.
Yeah. The dopest shit ever. And I mean this fucking the Metroid that you saved, that you've been protecting, that almost killed you like 20 minutes ago, like, and realized who you were, is here saving you. And it's like fucking this moment was so fucking amazing. I don't, there was nothing at this point that came close to something like this. I'm like, you can argue maybe stuff like in Final Fantasy IV maybe or something, but nah, like this was like a pivotal moment in gaming. I think this is one of the reasons why like people consider this the best game ever made. I know like Chris does.
That's correct.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with it. I mean, it's you can't, what can you say negative about it, really? It's not there's not much there. Yeah. I mean, you can nitpick if you want, but it's a pretty damn near perfect game.
I think the only crime was how neglected the series was over the years.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So
I know. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so another one that's kind of piggybacking right off of Super Metroid that's on my list is Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Woo!
Now this one, I was a big, Nintendo guy, as you can see from my list. Still am. And I remember my buddy telling me, "Oh, Castlevania is better than Metroid." I was like, "Yeah, bullshit. It's not better than Metroid." He's like, "No, it's really good, man. You got to play it." So about 15 years ago, I was like, "All right, fine."
God.
I bought it, played it, and oh my god, this game.
Talk about games that are miserable to speed run, though. Like you have to do that the entire time because it's like a little bit faster.
Oh, but I couldn't even do that if I tried.
Just like I hate watching stuff like that.
It's such a cool game.
Kind of like wave dashing, right?
Yeah, it's just so stupid looking. And it was like,
yeah. I just want to find a good video. I didn't want to find like a speed running video, but whatever.
So, how old were you when you played this?
I was probably 25. Long after it came out. I'm really, I was born in 82, so when this come out, like 98 or something like that. So I didn't play it on release. I played it way later.
Same.
But but it's become one of my favorite games of all time just because it has such cool little moments. Like, like you have to find those fucking glasses.
Yeah.
But
The secret endings, man. Like there were people who like
yeah.
bought the game, got to this part without the secret items, and fucking thought it was over. Like, oh, that was weird. Like, and then
Yeah, I
much
didn't
later
play it
found out
till
there's a
maybe
fucking second half.
2003, I think. I played it later than it came out too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
watched other
slept on
people
this.
play it, but like I saw it at the store and I was like, that looks dumb. I'm gonna go play Conker's Bad Fur Day. Which, okay, that game's great too.
Yeah, that's a
But
good game. Yeah.
but it's not this.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that it was what it was, until years later. And then the first time I played it, because like we're almost the same age, and I remember when this came out, and I didn't know anything about it. And by the time I played it, I was like, "Fuck, I'm so dumb. I can't believe I waited this long to play this. Like I could have
Yeah.
been enjoying this game for years." I was mad at myself.
And
I feel. Go ahead.
And I was going to say, and it came out at a time where there was, everybody was transitioning to 3D.
Yeah.
Nintendo, the N64, even PlayStation was, their big marquee title in '98 was Metal Gear Solid. So that was 3D, and when this 2D Castlevania comes out, you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm not, like, I don't want to play a Super Nintendo game. I want to play something 3D. Until you actually play it and realize that, damn, this game is freaking amazing.
Yeah, I avoided this game, not like actively for any specific reason, but I avoided this game when I was younger, mostly because like I feel like you either played Castlevania and you were like a fan of it, or it was like one of those games where you sat on the outside, you're like, oh, I'm looking at this, there's no appeal. It's just a little 2D side scrolling. I hit him with a sword. It's not that big of a deal. Like you got to get your fucking hands on it and be like, okay, got to explore. Oh, what's this? And you'll do all these secrets on your own and really get the full value out of it. And I think that same way about Persona, where it's like if you haven't really gotten ever deep into a Persona game, you're probably looking at it from outside like, this is, what the fuck is this even?
Yeah, that's how I feel about Persona. Like that's exactly how I feel about Persona. So I get it, 100%.
So one of the big deals about this game is like the way they kind of blended the 3D graphics with the 2D, and so like you go into certain rooms, there'll be like an orb spinning or whatever. It's like 3D, and
That's like, that's what they do, but
it was a big deal at the time. It was like a kind of like a technological thing of its day.
Whoa.
It's like Castle's so big, and then
screens.
And then you get to the end of it, and then you got to go through it again in a different way, and it's like it's just so cool. It was just a very, very interesting the way they did it. And
I think most of us by now have seen that Castlevania like video that I posted a while back, right? Yeah. It made me appreciate this game even more, actually.
There's what I was talking about, yeah. No, I kept falling asleep to that video like every night for like a week.
Only took you 1 week to watch it all?
It was like time, yeah, or maybe longer, but I was like, oh, time for bed. We're gonna put on the Castlevania video. Like,
oh man.
Yeah, this game is so great.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal game. And it has what a lot of, like Craig was saying, a lot of things that make it great. There's those little secrets that you find on your own. Like you'll find like NPCs that, I'm sure everybody find, but the game makes it feel like you just stumbled upon them, and it's, you're like, oh shit, this is, who's this guy? And there's a little secret that you got to do with them. And it's just so cool. And another game that kind of does that too, that's on my list, that I didn't fully appreciate until maybe 3 years after release, was Dark Souls. Dark Souls when that game came out, I'm sure you guys remember this, it was at a time where like everything just felt super easy. Like there wasn't games that really were challenging anymore. Everything was holding your hand. Nintendo was going there.
3-hour intro followed by a 4-hour game, and then the game was over.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. It's Dark Souls had that, rewarded your patience, rewarded your exploration, rewarded your mastering of the combat. the bosses and all that stuff. So that's why I think it made my list. Does it make anybody else's list?
I think it made mine.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Justin, just to let you know, I just upgraded the stream settings. Does the stream look any better now? I may need to stop and restart streaming. I don't know.
I think so. It'll become really clear once you go back to the spreadsheet. That was where it was fuzzy. Yeah, it's way better.
Cool. Sweet. All right. Well, all right. So there's a few games. What about some games you had to cut, man? You weren't super stoked about cutting.
A lot of those, like I was saying earlier, was a lot of the arcade games. Actually, let me pull up my list real quick.
Yeah, because I'm like, I know you're talking about like a Punisher arcade game. I don't think I ever seen that before, or if I did.
You've never seen? Oh man, yeah. Punisher Arcade was.
Punisher Arcade
awesome.
is so good. It's so
Is
good.
that is that the one where you can play as Punisher or Nick Fury?
Yes,
that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
that one's
yeah,
sick.
look at that. That's beautiful. Look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it had a Genesis release, if I remember correctly.
Not that stream.
It did have a Genesis release, but the arcade version is much better.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it's.
And I think I only. I think is what it was.
Was it the Super Nintendo? I thought it was Genesis.
I don't remember. I definitely remember dumping mass load of quarters at the arcade.
Yeah, it was only at maybe a couple of arcades that around my area, but anyway, every time I saw it, I was just like, I want to play this. This is all I want to play at this arcade. Because
like, look at those Punisher robot dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the fucking like Martin. Like his superhero he's got guns. Oh man!
Another one that I really hurt to cut was Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic, the first one.
You cut that?
I cut it. There, it hurt.
It's on your list.
Is it where? Oh,
Number 19.
You're right. I'm sorry. I was like, where'd it go?
I was looking.
Okay. Well, I'm cutting it now. Fuck you.
I no longer like this game. Look at this intense gameplay, dude. I'm riveted. Look at this. Wow. No, I'm just kidding. I just went to the most screenplay.
Look at that.
This is one of those games like Chris G like fucking begged me to fucking play through this.
Oh my
god.
God.
Like, I still haven't just because it's I don't know. It's one of those things. It hasn't aged well.
Like
That's
you
a
saying
lie.
that, I remember playing this on Xbox and thinking it looked so damn good. This is probably the first time I've seen gameplay since then. Jesus.
Yeah, it definitely has like that kind of like that layout where it's like if you weren't playing this, if you don't have like that nostalgia for it, it's like it looks so barren and old and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I initially
they were working on a redo of this, like a full remaster, but it
Sounds like it got canned by Sony.
It got canned, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the early stuff on it sounded incredible.
Yeah, I mean this game. I think fucking KOTOR rules. I can say that.
Where's that combat?
It's one of those games to where, especially if you played Mass Effect,
Dragon Age. Play Dragon Age. It's the same combat.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could see the DNA of KOTOR and like the Mass Effect games and stuff like that. So, I mean, yeah, sure, it looks aged or whatever. It's not like the prettiest game, but it looks decent on a PC nowadays. And
Sure.
I'm sure there's good mods for it too,
fast
right?
forward it, just let it run. He'll go into combat here in a second.
There's a lot of cool story stuff and branching paths, and decisions actually feel like they have weight.
Is this real time what you're doing, or is it like the guy's moving himself and you're just selecting?
Yeah, it's kind of like Xenoblade.
No. So imagine Xenoblade, but you can actually make your party do what you tell them to if you want. So you can have them do a preset, like you can choose preset, which is more than you can do with Xenoblade 2, right? So you can have different party members do preset moves, like if this then that, sort of like Tales of Symphonia.
Oh, like
right?
yeah, in Final Fantasy
So-
12 they do the gambit system where it's like,
Yeah, so it's
hey,
kinda
if you're
like
below
that.
50% HP,
Yeah, so
use
you
the
mean like
potion.
below 25%, use a med kit, right? So stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But you can also have it be like be aggressive or like defensive or But you can also pause in the middle of combat and move to one character and preset the next 3 moves that they're going to do and then go to the next. And so you can actually preset multiple moves for different characters. So you can play it either more like chess or you can play it more like an action game if you want. It's either or. It's kind of how you want to play it.
Didn't this do Fable before Fable, where you could go light or dark and all that kind of stuff too? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and this
This one
I'd be
actually had, like,
curious.
outcomes.
I'd be curious for anyone who's played, and I think a few people have in here that have played this and the Mass Effect series, at least one of the games. It's just like to
Yeah,
me, it's
and
like
I-
everything you're describing. It's like okay, they just took it out of the Star Wars, put it in their own IP, and we're like, all right, go.
Dragon Age
Exactly.
and Jade Empire is basically cleaner graphic versions of this. Like, if you can think about it that way.
Yeah, I would say the overall like game design and then the way that they push you forward is similar to Mass Effect. It's like early in the game, it gives you, I think it's like 3 or 4 planets. And
I was like, is that Black Yoda?
Looks so goofy.
hell yeah, dude.
He looks like a fucking Pikmin, dude.
No, this is Mass Effect before Mass Effect for sure.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, dialogue trees and the whole thing. You can recruit party members, or you can choose to kill those people. You can choose to kill people after you recruit them as party members. You can pursue romantic relationships with characters that you want to. You can,
You can kill Wookiees.
Yep. Wookiee genocide, baby.
So what about an actual game you had to cut?
Again, I was thinking about the arcade games. I was thinking about like TMNT arcade. I'm sure everyone's played that.
Yeah.
That's that was. I feel like my childhood was revolved around that game. That's all I wanted to play at that time. There was a pizza place by my house that had it, and I just wanted to play that constantly.
We gotta find
So I got
4 players at the same time, otherwise we're not doing it justice. I don't care how crappy it looks.
That game made my,
no,
made my list.
This is like, this is really adding to the nostalgia.
So BU in the 90s, when your parents takes you to Scandia, you're pumping in quarters or tokens, and you got kids you don't even know next to you playing with you, and life was good.
So something interesting about this is if you play the arcade version and then you also play the NES version, the NES version had levels and bosses that were not in the arcade. Yeah, there's like a snow level that you fight. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
One of the complaints I've heard actually about this game, now that they have like the collection and you can just play it whatever, is that like you can see how it was made to be a token eater game or a quarter eater game, because it's like now that you can just press start to continue, like the game gets super super repetitive really fast. It kind of loses its luster. You go on for longer, you're like, oh okay, I should have fucking died and ran out of money like fucking 2 levels ago, but only the most hardcore can get here and have enough money to fucking get this far.
Well, that's like X-Men the arcade also. It's kind of like that. The Simpsons one's like that too. Although the Simpsons one, that one's a little interesting because you can have 2 characters join up together and do combo moves. So it's a little different there. But like a lot of those arcade beat 'em ups are kind of built that way, right?
Yeah, did you guys ever play Guardian Heroes? That shit, they did a re-release.
That sounds so familiar.
Heroes 6-player arcade. So it was like a beat 'em up just like this, or just like all the other ones, but it was like I can't remember if it was arcade or if it only came out on like Sega Saturn or something like that. But it was
I remember it on Saturn.
Oh man, that game was sick. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh wow,
I never actually got to play it though.
Yeah, you can jump between the foreground and background.
Oh, it's Max. Cool. Love Max here. Oh, this looks weird. This doesn't look like the normal game. I think it's like some kind of like competitive or something like that.
Weird.
So
I never played that game.
Guardian Heroes came out on Sega Saturn, but there was a 360 release.
Yeah, I have it on my Xbox.
God, I wonder how much it is on Sega Saturn.
Oh, I don't want to know. Yeah, I'm not even gonna look it up.
But yeah, you got like 6 people at the same time, man. Like I never got to play it. I only heard about it way later. But I love like any game in that Saturn era where it's like this pixely anime kind of shit, dude. Oh my god! I'm like, yeah, it's fucking 10 out of 10. Take my money. I want to play it. I don't know why, man.
So
you say we already wanked? Is that what he just said? I don't know. But yeah.
So it's actually not as bad as you'd think, and this is relatively speaking. Like a CIB is like box, manual and everything, about $1 bill.
No, that's great for Saturn.
At least that's the lowest one I saw.
$1 billion?
You know what's funny about Saturn though? Saturn was a lot more popular in Japan than the US. So like that's why you see all these like weeb games and stuff.
Japan.
Like, it was super popular in Japan.
Nice.
Yeah, I think like the Saturn sold like 10 million total, and I think 5 of it was in Japan. Something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy popular. When I went there and I was like going through the game stores, like to look like the vintage game stores, hell of Saturn games.
Now I see number 2 on your list, Tears of the Kingdom, right? When we first started recording, this game didn't exist and now it does. And hey, guess what? It ends up being one of the most important games ever made. Crazy. Is anyone else adding this to their list too, or is it just going to be Jose?
I would love to add it, but I still haven't played it yet.
Joey won't let you.
Yeah, I didn't.
Nope.
I didn't add it yet, just because I didn't feel like redoing my list. But if I were to redo my list, it would be on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that probably would have been Breath of the Wild had this game not existed. Just because I have a really high opinion of Breath of the Wild.
Did you just like say, okay, I'm putting Tears of the Kingdom on here. I'm not even going to put Breath of the Wild on here anymore.
Yeah, because I didn't want to put two the same. I mean, of that, because to me, Tears of the Kingdom is basically Breath of the Wild on steroids. It's everything. It does everything Breath of the Wild does better. In my view,
better, stronger, faster.
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I would say it's Breath of the Wild on meth, so I would call it meth.
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild, yes.
Okay, here I have a quick question. So you're number 18. Are you and me really? Oh, Dino did it. Okay, I was gonna say, is it just me and you who have played this glorious fucking perfect campaign? Because that's a fucking tragedy. Like this Titanfall 2 campaign is so fucking good. It's crazy.
It's so good. I was a Titanfall. I actually bought my original Xbox One to play Titanfall. I have the Titanfall bundle box in my garage still. Just because I thought that it just the concept looked so cool back when they showed it. I think at the time it was like ex Infinity War guys made their own company. They made this game, and it was like, oh shit, that looks fucking awesome. I had to play that, and yeah, it was. I mean, the first one obviously is just the multiplayer, which is fine. It was pretty good, but just the single player campaign in 2 is, my God, so freaking good.
Yeah.
I think my only complaint
it was shooter and robot, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, dude.
I was gonna say my only complaint with it was that there wasn't more of it. Like it was so freaking good.
Yeah. It's like it doesn't play out like a Call of Duty, right? Where it's like fucking we're the good guys and they're the bad guys and stuff like that. It ends up playing like a buddy cop kind of a thing where like you end up befriending this fucking Titan who has been left to be like abandoned or something like that. And then you help repair him, and then you guys go on missions together, and you form this really strong emotional attachment to the Titan. I forget his name, but
isn't it voiced by Vin Diesel?
I don't.
No, that's Groot.
The cool thing about the story is you weren't ever supposed because being a pilot was like a big deal in that game.
Yeah,
and you weren't ever supposed to be a pilot. You kind of like accidentally became one, and like you kind of like bonded with the machine or something, or like interface with it. So then it was like it became yours. and then it just kind of went from there. But it was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Well, yeah. Anything else you want to finish off? Talk about your list a little bit, or
the last thing I'll say is looking at the games that made the what is it, the all boys list that's made it into phase 1 and phase 2, the ones that just automatically get put in there.
Yeah, that'd be your number one. It's everybody's number one.
Yeah, so it now looks like a real list because The Last of Us is in there.
Which release of The Last of Us did you?
The
version of it is the one. Oh, hi! Wow, thank you, Griffin. Griffin, you want to say hi to everybody? Hi. Okay. Bye. Good night. I love you. He has a routine. Anywho. Cool. Well, great. Last of Us is here. I can't wait to hate on it. It's gonna be great.
Oh man.
So we've gone through our lists over the course of 2 or 3 episodes, and now one of the other big things I guess that is changed is if you looked at this list, we had in episode 2 we had gone through some of these games all together and we talked about them. Since Jose joined, we had kind of had to redo some of the math, and I figured, we're gonna have to redo everything at this point, which is fine because now that we're at 100, we would have to redo it anyway. So yeah, so I forget, did we land somewhere? Which one did you guys want to start with? Do you want to start from the bottom up, or do you guys just kind of want to pick one at a time?
I think it's more fun to go bottom to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it like that.
Right. I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, sounds good to me. So, like we mentioned before, each game on this list that is in this page is going up. Now, we'll put it over here as we talk about it in the phase 1. The order of it doesn't matter at all, but we will then start bracketing them, which means we're going to take them 10 at a time, 10 at a time, 10 at a time. And then that'll help us figure out where they belong. And then from there, we'll go and organize each bracket. So with that said, we're just going to start adding games, and we're going to start from the bottom to the top. We're going to talk about God of War.
Good night, Papa.
How many y'all played God of War on PS2?
Will you hit your butt? Okay, good night, Papa.
I'm like a sinner. I never beat it, but I've certainly played it.
Yeah.
Is this God of War 2018 or whatever the new one is?
Fuck
or is
no.
No.
It's like 2005 or whatever.
The first one.
Okay.
This is that big dick God of War.
When did it drop? Was it 05 or I want to say it was late 05,
yeah.
right?
Gameplay right here. Oh, they got the opening
04.
gameplay right here. Yeah, I remember seeing this game in a Sears in a kiosk, and I had no fucking intention of playing this game. I didn't care. To me, it was just another generic fucking PS2 action game. There had been like a billion of them at that point, and then they had it at Sony on the kiosk and at Sears, and I'm fucking playing. I'm like, oh shit, yes, dude, because this game was so fucking brutal, and the thing that got me about it was you would do these little combos, and then they would have these little bits of cinematic essences to them where you do swing, and then you come up and you slam the chains over your head, and then the game pauses just a little bit, so you kind of you get to take it in and get ready for that big crash down.
And the QuickTime events were invented by this game, basically. I mean, maybe not invented, but popular.
I think you'd say Shenmue,
yeah,
but yeah,
Shenmue, yeah, for sure.
Dynamite Cop.
Yeah, Dynamite Cop.
But I mean, most
Which was developed by.
Yeah, see,
I think that actually might have been one of the first games.
Slow down.
No, it is. Yeah, Dynamite Cop was made also by AM2, which made Shenmue. But yeah, Dynamite Cop, aka Die Hard Arcade in the United States, is possibly the first game that I remember that integrated quick time events to where it wasn't the entire game, like Dragon's Lair.
I love that shit where you're running down the hall and it's like you gotta hit the buttons, you kick the guy in the face.
Yeah.
And shit like this was like so crazy. Like you would fight a boss in any game, but then when it's like, hey, will you please press circle to fucking impale me into the ship? Like it was just the coolest goddamn thing.
There wasn't really anything like that. I mean, I can't remember anything that like, cinematic and, over the top like that at that time. I remember when this came out, it was a really big deal that it was, so cinematic like it was.
Do you remember like every game copied it afterwards too for like a good
yeah, and
5-10
even
years?
it even itself in the sequels, just they could never, every game was, bigger bosses, bigger, that kind of stuff. But
you guys remember Dante's Inferno? It's like we have God of War at home.
Oh, that game was
We've got a
I like that a lot.
yeah, that's a wish.
I 100% of that game. It was sick as fuck.
I really like that game. I'm actually kind of mad that they didn't make a sequel for that. I really enjoyed Dante's Inferno.
Yeah. I wonder if they developed that actually.
I will say that Prince of Persia for the PS2, I think, actually led the way for God of War.
You think?
I think it was Sands of Time. Because I remember when that game first came out, it was like I remember like video game magazines were like, oh cool, this game just reinvented like platforming action games. And yeah, then like
look at this shit.
Because I played Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, and then when this game came out, I played this one. And I just remember thinking, oh, it's like the same vibe but better, like more advanced.
Yeah.
Is that like a racism thing or?
That shit is.
Well, no, it 100% is.
Oh Jesus! Like I forgot how crazy that part was.
Yeah, man.
And this is developed by internet's own David Jaffe. He was directing this game.
Everyone's favorite.
Out the Jaffe.
I was gonna say I should find the part where you like have sex with the women as a mini game.
Passed it already.
Yeah, I know. Trying to find some cool bosses or something like that.
I feel stupid that I don't have the newer God of War, like at least one of them, in my list because I actually really like
different.
Not game. I haven't played the most recent one now, but the one before, I was like really into that game.
Yeah, Jen got me Ragnarok, and we played that for a minute, but we, it didn't fall off because it was boring, just because there's other games. But it was fucking gorgeous. Like the way they went with that game was really cool. Yeah. But yeah, as far as this one goes, this thing was just, it was I don't want to say breath of fresh air, but it was fucking in a league of its own at that time. I don't think anyone saw this coming and was like, oh yeah, like, oh, this game, God of War game, like it came out of nowhere, I feel like.
Yeah, that's when Sony was really kind of flexing their, first party muscles. This is kind of the game that, I don't know if you want to say put them on the map for their first party, but pretty damn close.
Yeah, and I remember, what is it? Come over here. What is it like? Oh, you go to the actual fucking last boss fight where you're fighting giant Ares. Yeah. Yeah. I remember this part was just okay because it's like at that time I was like, okay, it's like my brain knows that it's like, all right, you didn't make a giant thing. You just made him be normal sized and then have some fucking like stuff that makes it look like it's big, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that being all right. I do remember the thing though, where it's like, yeah, he wants to, like the game starts off with him like, I'm just gonna go fucking kill myself, and then like fucking what is it? Athena doesn't let him or some shit. I don't know.
It was the crawling out of hell thing and the
third one, right?
Really cool.
Or was it the second one they did that? Because I don't think they did the crawling out of hell in this one. No. Yeah, God of War. Anyone else got any other memories, things to talk about?
The only thing I got is with God of War specifically, Sony did this big event in Southern California where they had at the EB Games in Hollywood, they had David Jaffe go be there and meet the fans and have everybody, sign copies of the game, buy the copies of the game. And me and my friends drove 3 hours in the rain to meet this idiot. But he was such a cool guy, though. I can't hate on him because he was so nice. Like, my friend had like a stack of David Jaffe, memorabilia, I guess you could say, like stuff that he's worked on, and he signed everything and talked to us. And I still have this big old display box of the original God of War game, and he signed it. It's in my garage somewhere.
So I'm gonna be the guy to ask the
cool.
stupid question. Was he one of the lead developers, voice actor, or what was his?
He was a creative director, I believe.
Gotcha.
Creative director or the director. I forget.
Yeah, he was the director, also known for Twisted Metal 1 and 2. Around that same era.
Too.
I remember this game came out on my birthday, actually. Like the release date was on my birthday, and I was out of town for my birthday, so I was upset that I didn't get to play the game and pick it up because I pre-ordered it.
Okay.
I was in Vegas that year for my birthday, and I was upset that I was in Vegas and not at home playing God of War.
Spoken like a true gamer.
So I remember that specifically. Yeah.
Your best memory of playing God of War is not playing God of War. All right.
I was dating a girl at the time. It didn't work out. God of War was forever.
All right. God of War. Nice. All right. Next up on the list, Until Dawn. Oh, I fucking love this game so goddamn. Who besides me has played this here? Justin?
I'm the other person that has it on the list, I think.
Oh yeah, because we've all played it, just not on the list, right?
It's
I never played it, but I have played it.
Yeah. So, do any of you guys just like not know anything about this game?
I know almost nothing about it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm right there.
Yeah, so Until Dawn was like a pretty early PS4 game, I want to say. But it was basically like your first playable horror movie, and not in terms of like this is a horror game, like don't die, but it was like you go to this is all kind of like I don't know what's a good way to show it. So like they go to this cabin up in this one of the friends has this giant fucking cabin up in the middle of like a mountain somewhere. They're all alone, and and then like monsters and things happen and all that. So
Wikipedia says that it's a third-person exploration with cutscenes and QuickTime events.
Yeah, like if you're familiar with what are the Heavy Rain and all that kind of stuff, where it's like there's no like action, like right, you're not swinging swords or shooting guns, like you're there, like think of it more like remember those old PC games with CD-ROM PC games, and you put it in and you basically just watch like a real-time cutscene and then it'd be like make your decision. It's a lot more like that.
There's like Telltale games, right?
Yeah, so it's a lot like a Telltale game too, that's true. But it was great because this is like the first time, for me as a big horror movie fan, I always want to play. You'd be watching these horror movies and be like, "Oh, dude, don't run that way. What are you fucking doing? You gotta go out the window. You're running in the basement. You gotta know where to go." You get to finally like put yourself to the test. And it's like you're getting chased, and you're like, okay, and then in the middle of it, you're like, "Oh, what do I do? What do I do?" I want to see if I can find something that's like kind of further along in the game. But there is like exploration elements. You're looking around the mountain, you're looking for like clues. You get like split up and you're trying to figure out what's going on, and you're experiencing the game from all these different viewpoints that are split up, and they all start kind of piecing together. There's also like a psychological element. Like there's this let's see if I can find a thing of that. Like fucking this dude right here, I forget his name, but he's so fucking charismatic and he's awesome, and he kind of plays like this therapist role of you, the player. And you start answering his questions. He's like a psychiatrist, like, hey, what scares you more, this or this? And then, what about this and this? And these choices you make affect how the game treats you, the things that you're exposed to and things like that. And depending on how you do, right? Like, so you start off with a bunch of people, like 8 characters, and depending on how you do, they live or they die. And then like he'll come out and fucking berate you, like, what are you doing? Oh no, blah blah blah. And all of these choices matter in the game. And the thing that really sold me on it is that like you can play this game and every single person can live if you're good, or every single person can die. And it was really like one of a kind in that way, at least to me at the time.
Yeah, it's also
Yeah,
one of
they
a kind in that it will tell you to not move the controller, and then you don't move the controller, and it says you moved the controller, and then like
Yeah.
one of your fucking dudes dies, and you're like, "Come on, dude, I didn't move the fucking controller." Great game
they,
though.
they came out with a whole series of
Fantastic
these that are
visual.
actually really good called the
Yeah, the
Dark Picture Anthology. Yeah, they're pretty solid.
Didn't
Yeah.
it have kind of like for the time pretty decent like real life actors in this game?
Yeah, you got Rami
Yeah.
Malek is in it. Hayden
Panettiere.
Pan, the fuck, however you say her name.
Panettiere.
There you go. But yeah, really, the whatever technology they had for performance capturing,
See if I can get to like the last parts of the.
especially when you consider when this game came out, like the performance capture, facial animation, like the
I don't even
facial
remember this shit.
scans. Like, look, it's fucking, it's Rami
Yeah,
Malek.
I'll just skip past it. Don't worry.
Great game.
Yeah, I just want to like get to the part where like there's like a part at the end, like you're getting chased and stuff like that, so you got to start making choices. You know, you got your little quick
Craig is
time.
just
Don't
gonna
get hit in the
spoil
face.
every single one of these games. Let me show you the last boss
Yeah,
of
the
every
facial
single game
mocap,
here.
Yeah.
the facial mocap is pretty good in this.
I'm actually not spoiling anything because you don't know the story. You just know that there's
The
characters and they can die.
Well, the all
They can
survive
all
ending.
die.
You picked the wrong one. We want to see the one where people die.
But yeah, at the time, it was just one of the coolest, like most. I don't want to say. I guess it's not super artistic, but it was really. I loved it because it was a great exploration of ideas in the game in PS4 era when everything was just like prettier graphics, and like I guess this is also the game focused on graphics, but I don't know, man. It did a lot for me. I loved this game. The choices you make, the fact that there were no other games like this, and just being a huge fan of horror movies, it kind of ticked all the boxes. I mean, me and Jenny played through the entire thing together, and we were just so invested. We're like, "What's going on? What's happening next?" You know. And in the big picture, it's like the story is just like another dumb horror movie story. But it's since you're taking control of it, you feel like so much more invested, so much ownership in it, things like that. How you feel about it, Justin? You beat this one, right?
Yeah, I agree that at sometimes the holding the controller still, you know, that also got me a little bit. But yeah, overall, I think the game is super good, and it's super freeform, and it's a story that really, really, really doesn't feel like it's on rails like pretty much ever. Um, and because there are all these things where like which is surprising because there are even things that you can find that show you like foreshadowing. Like there are things that you can find on the ground that will show you like what is going to happen in the story, like 2 hours in the future or something like that. But yeah, just something about how the story is written and how everything plays out. You'll get to certain points and be like, oh, I can totally see that like everybody survived, but like if I had messed this up or if I had chosen this instead of this, like I know, like I just have this feeling that right here, like so and so would be dead if I had chosen differently.
Yeah, and they also play like they play the actress against you. Like this character on the screen, her name is Emily. She's fucking terrible. Everybody hates her, but they know you're gonna hate her, and so the decisions you make regarding her, they factor that in, and it's really cool how it all comes together. But yeah, looking for clues, trying to figure shit out.
Did any of its I mean, it didn't have sequels, but did any of the games that came after it, did they ever reach the level of this game?
I'm gonna say no, but the Quarry is extremely good, which is like the newest one, like the PS5 one.
Did you play the other ones like the?
Not the Dark Pictures. So I mean, like, if you want to speak to that, cool. I never played them.
Yeah, I would say that I played through the first two Dark Picture anthology. I haven't played House of Ashes yet. The cool thing about those is that they're actually like intentionally smaller projects. They're not as high budget, so they're kind of more. They lean more into kind of the B level stuff. Whereas the Quarry, kind of what Craig mentioned, which came out a little bit more recently, is in terms of like production values and things like that, is more in line with Until Dawn. But I mean, the Quarry's good, and it's got David Arquette, but it doesn't have the same novelty that Until Dawn had when it came out. Because like Craig, I mean, I also love watching horror movies, and yeah, there's things like the Telltale games and Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls and things like that. But this was the first game that I really played as well that did the whole interactive horror movie thing well, where it wasn't like a survival horror game or whatever. This definitely had its own spin, and there's enough permutations and branching paths that it's a game that's maybe 7 to 8 hours long on your first playthrough. But there's enough different little things, and there's a little hidden totems and whatnot that makes additional playthroughs worth it.
Yeah, Josh, have you ever played this one?
Nope.
Yeah, dude. No, you should next time you find a sale or something like that, or I don't know, like this is right up your alley as a fan of like the David Cage games, like because you like isn't Heavy Rain or something like that really high on your list?
I think it's on my list. But I love Heavy Rain though, whether it's on the list or not. I love that game.
Yeah, this is like right up your alley, man. I think you'd fucking love this. Definitely check this out if you get like a sale or something like that on it.
It's just too bad we never got the sequel to Heavy Rain. We never got that Chubby Rain video game.
What about Chocolate Rain?
Chocolate Rain.
Well, they made Heavier Rain. That game was pretty good.
So I've never played this, but I'm just watching it. It seems like, the outside criticism would be that, you're not actively, I don't know, fighting a thing or whatever, but I don't think it seems like that's not what it's about. It feels like taking that away from the player, taking that agency away, sort of forces you into a feeling of impetus that you would probably feel if you were stuck in a real horror environment, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like it helps create the mood that you can't just like pull out a gun and aim and shoot him. It's like your character is gonna have bad aim or whatever it is, and in real life you wouldn't necessarily have the wherewithal to be like, okay, let me do this combo move on the guy with the chainsaw. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's really like the fruits of or not the fruits of your labors, but like you're reaping the bed you sow or something. It's like everything that happened is a consequence of your decisions, and so if you're in a shitty situation, it's because you chose wrong. And a lot of times it's not like your fault and you made a bad choice. It's because you just didn't know. And that kind of speaks to, like what if you were in a situation like this? Like you could try to make the best decision you could, but now you're in a fucking mine shaft with a fucking torch trying to outrun a fucking killer or something like that,
Yeah, I just always tell these kids that they just need to pick themselves up by their bootstraps when they're in these situations,
Yeah.
Goddamn millennials and their bootstraps. We should just stop eating avocado toast, and then they'd make it on the mine.
Exactly.
The quick time events, like they can be big too. Like you miss one and like somebody dies, and it changes the whole story.
Or I was thinking, like as she walked by, she picked up the sign, but she didn't have to. And so I'd imagine somebody walking by and seeing that sign overturned, right? So it's stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Like it could be something small, like, oh, did you pick this thing up? And if you did, then it's not there for the other person. Like that sort of stuff, right?
And so it's like, what do you do in this situation? Fucking growling dog, do you approach it or do you back off? Is he gonna bite his hand off? Is he, you gonna get rabies? We'll never know. But yeah, that's Until Dawn. Anyone else want to say anything about the game?
Yeah, I recommend doing a full rabies playthrough if you have the chance.
A full rabies playthrough.
I heard Josh start on something. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was just wondering if anyone else played. Well, I guess a few people have. Detroit Become Human.
That's the one you really love.
Is really good about like putting you in these like high pressure situations. It's like, hurry up, pick, hurry. There's no time, pick now. And you're like, oh fuck. And like, I don't know. It in a weird way, it feels kind of good being under that kind of stress. And then you just pick something and you just hope it doesn't fuck shit up later on.
Yeah, I think Detroit has one of the best opening scenes in a video game, maybe ever. Basically, you come in as an android, you're a detective, and a android that's gone crazy has taken a kid hostage. So you have a limited amount of time to scan the area that you're in to get clues about the android, and then you have to confront the android that has a gun to this kid's head. And I think there's like 3 or 4 different ways at least how that ends. Yeah, it's awesome. Great game.
What game is that?
Detroit Become Human.
It's so good.
Why isn't it on a shared list anywhere?
Everybody needs to play it. It's amazing.
Hell yeah! Did that ever get ported to PC?
Yeah, and it looks awesome.
That's how I played it. Was on PC.
Ah, nice. Dope. All right. Well, Until Dawn on the list. Moving up, we've got I almost said Detroit. Fucking goddamn it. Tetris DS.
Hell yeah.
What a fucking banger we got right here. Nothing but fucking bangers today. I mean, you know, like what we got to talk about. I want to see like if I can find a video of it with like in like real life multiplayer. I don't know, something where it shows like what it could actually do.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, it's the best version of Tetris that I've ever played.
Yeah,
I don't think I've played this. What's the difference between the DS version and just regular Tetris?
So, it had all this style to it for one thing, but like you can see like the Mario blocks going crazy. But the coolest thing about it is it came along at a time. This was like a DS launch title, and one of the biggest things was you only had to have one copy of the game, and then you would do remote play, and you'd say like, "Hey, anybody wants to play, come play with me." And you just like me and Josh and everybody else, we'd be in these fucking like midnight release launches, and we'd just be like, "Hey, like who wants to play Tetris? We got our DS," and you're just sitting outside of the GameStop waiting for the midnight release. And yeah, you just got a fucking giant 6-8 player fucking Tetris DS match going. No one has to buy the game. It's just one person has to have it. But yeah, I mean, like I honestly didn't put a ton of hours into it. I just love the multiplayer aspect of it. So I just know there's cool stuff like this. Like there's like Mario themes and Zelda themes and stuff like that. But I might not be the best person to talk about it too long.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the multiplayer was great. Kind of what Craig's talking about. There was the download play. Yeah, you know, you would need one person, like he was saying. Everyone could just hop on their DS, download it, and it had this. There's different little items that you can use. So you'd clear certain lines, and you'd get an item. Some of them would like screw up other people's blocks. Some of them, you just saw like a banana peel that just fucked up that guy's shit.
Sorry, should I have not done
somebody's screen? Yeah.
The marathon mode, perfect timing. So when you're playing just kind of normal single player mode, on the top screen you would have Mario, and it would just have, you know, going through a level, and as you go through, like the themes would update, and it was just a very cool presentation thing. It also had like this really cool touch mode where it was kind of like reversed. You had the super high tower of bricks that were already stacked up, and then you used the touch screen to move them around to clear them from the top bottom. But it had a bunch of cool modes, and like Craig said, the multiplayer was awesome. Just having that download play, especially like during its time.
Yeah, I
mean,
think
any version of Tetris that looks similar to the original, which is this, is going to be a banger regardless. Tetris is fantastic. I put the original NES Tetris on mine, just because that's what I grew up with, you know. But like this does look like a really solid version, just because of the way that the multiplayer works, and like it showed 6 people playing at the same time at one point, you know, and the ability to kind of mess with people and everything else, like that seems really cool.
Yeah,
like,
and I think
have
like
it on the Switch with, you know, if they put it on there with compatibility. Yeah,
Tetris 99 exists. I don't know. You can do that right now.
I don't know how long that is still going for, if it ended.
No, they just did a new promotion, man. They're doing a Xenoblade promotion. It's going strong.
Oh, that's good.
Also, I think this was like the first online Tetris game that I played that wasn't on PC. I used to, back in the day, there was this thing called Tetranet. You just have to get on MRC to find people to connect with to play multiplayer Tetris.
On PC, right?
Yeah, exactly. And
He's not holding anything. That's weird.
the DS, Tetris DS, there might have been an online Tetris somewhere before, but this was the first one that I really played. And I used to just be playing this super late at night online. Fucking fools up.
Yeah, and for me at least, it's like, like Tetris. If you're gonna put a Tetris game on there, it's like, okay, like, you're gonna pick one, and which one is it? And like Chris saying, like, oh, I did the NES one because that was the most nostalgic for me. And it's like, I know, like, that one with Tetris Effect is actually pretty baller too. But yeah, to me, it's just like, this is the only version of Tetris that you can get that can do what this thing is doing, which is like 8 people playing from one fucking cartridge.
Yeah, the theming and the music like was just unparalleled. Like the Mario levels and then the Zelda one. I think the Zelda one was my favorite.
Let's see.
But it was really cool.
I would say Tetris Sphere maybe would not be one.
Oh, look at this! What is this?
That's dope.
I have no fucking clue what this is.
It's like one of the modes that it had.
Yeah, I think this is push mode, right? If I remember correctly.
Sure.
Yeah.
I need to bust out my copy.
This game just has a lot of cool shit in it.
Yeah. Yeah, they put a ton of effort into it in an age of, like, look at what we get with fucking Tetris now. It's like, yeah, I did online. Like, they put some effort into this.
Tetris Effect is actually really cool.
No, it is. I love it. It's a great game.
The music and everything on that one's pretty sick too, and the effects, like for the different stages, like the bricks and the way they look and everything.
Josh, did you ever get down on this in our lines, in our midnight release lines, or was it just like the Street Pass?
I think it might have just been the Street Passes. I was really hooked on that.
All right.
Oh, I don't know. I think so, because I do remember playing Tetris like a few times with you guys, like while we're waiting in line and stuff. So maybe.
Yeah. I specifically remember out of Game Crazy, the one that like was attached to the Hollywood Video. Well, anyway, yeah. Anyone else want to talk about Tetris DS?
I'm just glad to see a DS game on here. I don't know if there's a lot of them, but the DS was such a good system, I thought, and it did cool shit. Like, I think Mario Kart had a similar thing where one card you could play, 2 players or 4 players or whatever it was. So it's cool to see a DS game represented.
Yeah, I think with Mario Kart, I think the limitation was everyone had to use, was it Shy Guy or some shit?
I think it was something like that. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, I don't remember if we had the conversation either here or just talking to each other, but like, I think we've talked about before, just like the DS versus the 3DS, and to me, like the DS was a better system, just with the library it had. There's something about it; it just felt better. Like I remember being amazed by Phoenix Wright and being amazed by Trauma Center, and then when I got my 3DS, it's like, huh?
I was thinking of Golden Sun.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because they made the sequel was on DS, right?
Yeah.
Dark Ruin or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a Final Fantasy Tactics on there too.
Yeah, I have that one, the Grimoire one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, I don't know. Like to me, it was like those were the hitters. Like I know 3DS has some great games like 3D Land and Mario Kart 7, and they put Xenoblade on there and Project Cross Zone, stuff like that. I like, but to me, it was like it felt like
Luigi's Mansion too.
Yeah, but I felt like this was where like you were seeing the evolution of the Nintendo handheld right here, right? Yep. Where like you were no longer just playing the Game Boy.
Well, it's like in an awkward phase still. Like they were still figuring it out. That's I think what it was. So you were kind of watching them figure things out and mess with things because they didn't quite know what they had yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of new design space there, right? So you get stuff like Trauma Center and like crazy games like that.
Yeah, like I was saying, like I have memories of being in the game lines, waiting for a game to come out, and a bunch of people doing this Tetris DS shit, or like doing like the Picto chat, and it's like all this really interesting shit that like hadn't been like thought of before, or it felt cool, it felt fun, And then by the time 3DS came out, I was like, all right, let's just play our games. Turn the 3D slider on for 15 minutes, find out we don't like it, and turn it off.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's Tetris DS, I think. All right. We officially have 10 games talked about on the list. Amazing. All right. Fucking Lion King. All right. This one's fun. I was going to talk about this one. Oh, wait. Is there a difference for the gameplay video if I have to look up Genesis or Super Nintendo?
Yeah, kind of. So it's on my list, but I put the Genesis version, which admittedly is the easier version. And that's because I feel like the Super Nintendo one was punishingly difficult for no good reason. I personally like the sound, like the chipset sound on the Genesis for this game, because that's sort of like more boomy, bombastic background sound. Visually, they're going to come across similar, but I think also the Genesis, the color scheme is the palette's going to look a little, in my opinion, better on the Genesis. But that's just personal preference.
Yeah, I want to say this was you and Josh, right?
I don't know who else had it on theirs.
Josh, this wasn't on your list? Josh is dead. Either that or he doesn't know he's muted himself or something.
This is one of those platformers, that came out around the time where they didn't give a fuck if you knew you knew how to play it or not. They just expected you to get good.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, it's on Josh's list at the bottom.
Yep.
Number 49.
Yep.
I ranked it a little higher on mine, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, so like what is it about this game that does it for you?
So when this game came out, I was younger. I was a little more impressionable. So we got a Genesis secondhand from it's like a secondhand store that like would have sports equipment and video games, because we couldn't afford to buy stuff new like that.
Mhm.
So we got a Genesis used with like Altered Beast and Sonic 1 and something else. And this is like one of the first brand new games that we got to buy. But I rented it like 4 times at the local video place. It's like a little family video place. Like one of those ones with the brown boxes and the giant porn section in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they had it there, and I rented it a few times, and I loved it. And I used to play in this really old CRT in the back, in the spare den room space that was like our sort of game area. And I just have a lot of memories of sitting in the floor with the timer going between my brother and I and my sister.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. Like you made me think about I remember that being a thing like back in the 80s and 90s. There was like dens were a thing. Like you would have the formal living room, and then you'd have the den like sunken in on some stairs, and there'd be a couch that the kids never used because they had to be like 8 inches away from the TV with the fucking controller.
Yeah. I mean, so this came out, I was what, 11 in 94?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember playing it. I had like one of those friends that like for some reason he just had every Nintendo or Disney licensed Nintendo game. Like this and Aladdin, and I think that's the end of my list. But
well, before this one came out, I played the Jungle Book one, which is also a really good movie tie-in. And I remember loving the hell out of that game. I think I rented it like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, and then because I thought this game was like quote stupid for kids because it was based on a Disney movie that was more current. And then I rented it. I was like, holy shit, this game is awesome. I was blown away. I was like, this looks like the movie. Like the animation style is so close to what you saw in the film. That parallax scrolling video or level with the water buffalo was like
I guess
such
we
a
should
big deal.
check that out. Is it here?
It's
no,
not.
It
is not in the SNES version, or it is, but it looks.
I was looking at the Genesis one.
Yeah.
Cool. Josh,
Yeah,
this one's on your
yeah.
list, right?
Yeah, it's on my list.
Nice. What do you have?
Sorry, I just want to give a shout out to the developer of this game because they just did lots of cool technical shit, especially on the Genesis. Traveler's Tales.
Uh-huh.
They also did like Mickey Mania.
Yeah,
Sonic
Mickey
3D
Mania is a
Blast.
big one. It's on my list too, and they did some shit on that game that they did not do on the Super. They couldn't do it.
Yeah, Josh, what's your memories on this? This is on your list, right? So, like, talk about it. What did you used to rent as a kid? Play it at like a homie's house or what?
I used to rent it. So I got a Sega Genesis for. Oh no, you know what? I think it came with my Genesis, but I got one for my birthday. And yeah, this is like the first game I had for. Because I think by the time I got the Genesis, they stopped bundling Sonic with the console. You were able to buy the console by itself. So the only game I had to play was this game, and I fucking loved it. Like, even like looking at it now, I remember when I was a kid, one of the things that I really loved and just felt so rewarded for was it. It gave you hints as to where you're supposed to go or what you're supposed to do without exactly telling you it. Like, for example, when you first start the game, there's the trees and there's like the little bird nests in the trees. Like, I remember being so proud of myself when I figured out, oh, you could land on those. Those are, they're platforms. They're solid. You can jump on them. And then I climbed to the top of a tree. I'm like, shit, now where do I go? And I see a rhino turning backwards with his tail swinging. And I'm like, hey, I wonder if I could swing on that. And I grab it and you could swing on it. And I just felt so rewarded playing the game because, again, it wasn't like spoon feeding you like what you're supposed to do next, but it gave you little hints. And
it was so intuitive in the way that the platforming worked out that you didn't need to have it explained to you. You would just try stuff and figure it out and go, oh, okay, cool. And then you felt rewarded by figuring it out yourself. And if you missed a jump, like I remember this part in particular, that like if you fuck this up, like you fucked it up because you were bad.
Well, isn't it like one of those things where like if you could like very easily overjump, like, so I'm gonna go back.
Oh yeah, you could.
So you would like
if you knew what you were doing. Oh yeah,
so
no,
like,
it's like
so you would like
so perfect. You had to land.
So like, yeah, so like if you were like in the middle, if he was to the right more, you would fall through. It's like you had to be at this perfect thing. That's what I remember. That game just fucking drive me crazy.
Yeah, but in a way, it was like the platforming was so solid that if you fucked up, it was your fault. It's not like, oh well, the game.
Yeah, but you had to get used to those rules first.
Well, but they teach that to you in like the first episode, like the first level, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I never got past like level 2 or 3 in this game. It's fucking hard.
This game this level here was really hard with the frogs and the bugs. The bugs in particular were really annoying. And so this level here was sort of like the make or break for your playthrough. If you could get through this without really dying too much, then you're probably gonna make it. And if you didn't, your game was fucked.
Yeah, I remember when I took game design at the JC, like one of the biggest things that was pressed upon me was exactly what Josh was talking about, where they want to teach you how to play the game without showing, like without outright telling you jump on this, do this, and like that kind of stuff. I know exactly what he's talking about. It's like it must be so satisfying to just be like, oh yeah, I get it. I just grabbed that. Okay. And then like as a developer, I'm sure, and someone gets it, you're just like, yay, fucking A.
Well,
yeah,
especially,
sorry, go ahead,
especially when you're a kid, like when this game came out, I was like, what, like 6-7 years old or something, and it just felt good. Like I remember one part where you're on the back of like the like, I don't know, like some elk or something.
Oh god.
And
this part here is the flashbacks of hell. This part is so hard.
You think you're going up the right path and you realize, oh crap, dead end. I should have gone to the left of the waterfall.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's one part where you're riding on an animal and you see 2 arrows pointing up, and I'm like, oh, I'm assuming he wants me to double jump. Oh wait, can I double jump? Then you realize, holy shit, I can double jump. And it just little hints. Oh no, that was not a little hint, it's an obvious hint, but it still felt good as a kid figuring it out.
Yeah. That's one of the things I was like, I've had discussions with people about gaming and game design and all that. And I always talk about the concept of conveyance, and like, especially from watching that Ego Raptor did that video just outlining how Mega Man X teaches you by conveyance. And it's such a genius fucking video, just the way they
They
explain
don't
it to
do
you.
that anymore. Instead, they spend like 6 hours in an intro section for Assassin's Creed, only for the game to be 17 hours long total. And you're like, okay, well, I just spent a third of the game being taught how to jump, and it sucks.
Yeah, but
Like,
once you like understand that concept, though, when you do play those games that do it right, it just gives you such a bigger appreciation.
Yeah, the classic most easy example to give people is World 1-1 in Super Mario Brothers. You start off and you don't know what you can do. If someone just gave you a controller, you're gonna go, okay, I can move left and right. So you start moving left or right. Then you see a row of 4 blocks that are just normal blocks, and then you have a question block. You find out real quick, oh, okay, I hit a question block, things come out. What comes out? A mushroom. What does this mushroom do? Boom, okay, now I'm Large Mario. You walk over to the right, there's a pipe. What do I do? Let me press another, oh, I could jump. It's just that, kind of what Craig says, it's just that simple conveyance where when it's done right, it's super elegant and just makes any game better.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's like, you're looking at a bunch of pixels on a screen, and you want to get someone invested into your game and someone invested in the world you've created. And how do you do that without just putting text on the screen? Hey, like this game, you get them immersed in the world, and that how you conveyed that is really that's what made a really fantastic game versus a not so great game. Because I mean, we're sitting here talking about fucking Lion King. The things they did, the way they made people feel, it's great. This isn't like Super Mario World. This isn't Chrono Trigger. This is a movie tie-in game. And at the end of the day, it didn't change gaming or anything like that, but it made you feel good to play it. Whether that be through the overcoming the difficulty.
Well, this game
or
is
like
also
Josh is
considered
saying,
to be sort of a classic of the period too.
Yeah.
This game is considered to be one of those ones that's like,
I've never seen adult Mufasa or Simba.
oh yeah, this level's it's not that bad. The next level's annoying, but this one's not too bad.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, is there anything else you guys want to add on about this game?
I just want to say that if anyone's going to play it, play the Genesis version. I like it better than the Super Nintendo version. The sound, everything just feels better on the Genesis. Even using the Genesis controllers better.
Nice. Oh, Scar. All right. Cool. That is Lion King. All right.
The part where he yeeted him off the cliff was great.
Yeah. Well, that's how you beat him.
All right, Lion King. And you know what we're going to do? We're also going to add Genesis.
So there are people online that make the argument that the Super Nintendo one is better because it's harder. But I really disagree with this idea that the harder thing is better because it's harder. I feel like approachability is an important aspect of games too. So I put the Genesis version on there, because of personal bias, because I like the way that the chipset on the Sega Genesis sounds, and I like the way that the parallax scrolling looks on the Genesis. But also the game is beatable. The Super Nintendo one is notoriously difficult.
So you don't like the harder one, you like the flaccid one because it's more
I make the argument that if it's too hard to just get fucked. I don't play a game to get fucked. I play a game to fuck.
No, I get it. It's that in my viewpoint, it's like how spicy food is, where people go, "Oh, make it more spicier, make it more spicier." I'm like, why? You're not able to taste the food. All you're doing is just burning your tongue. And I feel it's the same way with Lion King, where it's like, oh yeah, the Super Nintendo version is better because it's harder. I'm like, yeah, but it's so hard where now you're not really getting to enjoy the game for what it is.
Yeah, unless you want to dedicate 100 hours to master it and really dig into it, which is the game is called The Lion King. I want to be able to enjoy it, and the challenge is probably better at a more medium than high level, right? Next on my list, I'm excited to talk about Dead by Daylight. Boy, I love this game. Recency bias, like I was saying earlier in the chat. Me and Dino got back in this game. I think Dino's already fallen off though. I don't know.
I'll probably jump back in when the Halloween event starts up.
I feel like you've been in and out of this game for the last fucking forever, man.
5 years. Like,
Yeah, since it came out.
Yeah. I'll try to find something. You know what I'm gonna do? I want to find the Xenomorph.
I've never
you-
played it, but I've watched you
yeah.
guys play it.
Yeah,
The times when you guys have played it.
Yeah, I remember seeing it. I remember seeing it initially at like the convention I went with, you know, PAX South, and I was walking past and I saw like this guy putting people on hooks. I was like, what the hell is this game? And then I think I came into work and Justin was playing it. I think you were playing with your small group of friends, right? Yeah. Yeah. So how did you? Were you just hanging out with your friends and they got you into the game, or what?
Yeah, I had a group of friends and they were super into it and they got me kind of into it and I was like, oh, this game is sick. It's like it's very unique. It's very like it's unique. It's kind of like refreshing and it's like it's simple, but it's simple in a way that you always know what you could have done better in a match. You know, like you always it's simple, but it's not like boring. It's simple,
Yeah.
but you can always look back and be like, oh, I know what I messed up. Like I should have done this a little bit better.
So, like a brief description of the game, it seems like would be, it is a multiplayer horror survival game. Where one person is the killer.
Asymmetrical horror game, yeah. So
one
like,
person is
whereas the
killer and the other people are trying to escape.
Yeah, so if you look at the
Is it?
bottom left, it shows like some icons. One of them says like 5, and it's 5 generators. The survivors have to repair 5 generators. So as the killer, you can see the red silhouettes, and those are the generators. So you basically go back and forth, and you're combing to see the survivors fixing generators, and then you break them, or you try to kill them while they're running at it. There's like 2, like if you're a killer main, you're doing it because you love hunting people down and you want to play as the Xenomorph, or you want to play as Pinhead or something like that. And honestly, I'm starting to wonder why I mute every video, because I'm just gonna put it volume. But yeah, stuff like, one of the biggest things about this game is that like they have created, like in their own words, they've created like a horror museum, where like it just started off as a game they were making, but then like they just like Behavior Interactive, who's the developer of the game, they've been around for a long time. They had a lot of ties with Hollywood, and they were able to network and talk to people and get things. So like really early on, after they came out, they added Michael Myers. They got the license for him, and so so you could play this game in fucking be Pinhead or Michael Myers, really get immersed in it, or you could play as the survivors, which are which is weird because you'd be like, oh, the killer's gonna be way more fun. It's like, no, the survivor is like the most accurate and most fun tag simulator that's ever been created. It's brutal when you first start playing it because the killer, you have a steep learning curve, but yeah, it's really hard to start off with, and you just expect to die over and over and over. But once you get good, you can see people doing crazy shit, and like the killer can't touch them. But yeah, just I don't know, like you said earlier, I was like, oh, I feel like I heard you guys coming back to this game like over the last 5 years, and it's like, yeah, because they just keep adding more, and we always find a reason to go back and play for a few months or play a couple months, get in, get out, and take a break and come back. But one of the things that makes me, I redid my list, and this is like sitting really high up now. It's probably recency bias, but the thing about it is like every time I go back to it, it's good. Like if I go back to Left 4 Dead 2, nothing's changed. It's still a great game, but nothing's changed. If I go back to Overwatch, it's worse. If I go back to Dead by Daylight, it's always getting better. They're always listening to the community, making changes, adding fucking Alien and Pinhead and the Jigsaw and anything else you can imagine. And y'all gotta get good so we can play Kill Your Friends. Yep. That's the dream. Obviously, Survivor gameplay. I want to see it like looping or something like that, just so you can see like what it looks like when you're you're actually like good at the game, and a killer starts chasing you, that kind of thing.
I'm surprised they haven't added like Chucky or
Chucky. Yeah, and so like in the bottom right, you can see perks. Like this person had a perk to hide in a locker and then stun the killer when he runs out. And so you start chaining these things together. Like I'm gonna run out of this building, all right, I'm gonna slap this pallet down right here on top of them, and then that way they can't get me, stuff like that. And you move from like they call it like a tile to tile, like different setups and things like that. And yeah, I don't know. It's an amazing game. Like, let's see, like let me see, like Dead by Daylight full killer list. Like the amount of fucking killers in this game, like the fucking. I just wish I could. I don't know if I'm just there. We're gonna show like just a big screenshot.
Search. Just image
Oh, that was right there. Oh.
There's 33 apparently.
Yeah. Let's see, Dead by Daylight full killer list. Images. Just so someone does like a tier list, but like, yeah, this is basically what it is. Like, you've got let me see, there we go. Like, fucking Wesker from Resident Evil, Nemesis, the Demogorgon from Stranger Things, fucking Pyramid Head from Silent Hill, fucking what's his name? Scream Face.
It's not showing on the screen right now.
Oh, it's not? Oh, weird.
It's still on the video.
Oh, I wonder why. I'm on the same screen. Let me see.
Might just be sharing that window.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to change that right now. All right, never mind. But yeah, it's got just a ton of licensed killers, and so there's just a ton of. It's an extremely unique game where like you can pick from 33 different killers. Each one plays differently, or you can play the best tag simulator ever created. And there's always reasons to go back. There's always things changing.
Is Chucky in there?
No.
Child's Play?
No, yeah. I think they're doing it. The collaborations they're doing, like, and one of my favorite thing that they've done is fucking the Nicolas Cage collaboration. So you can play as Nicolas Cage in this game and just be Nicolas Cage. It's fucking amazing.
That's funny.
Yeah, and he does some like really funny ass voice lines in it too. But just the fact that I don't know, it just feels like a really fun game. Hard to describe. Dino would be able to talk more about it, but it looks like he's out for right now.
Yeah, I can talk about it a little bit too, because like I play a lot more killer than, I mean, I think you probably play both, but I play mostly killer when I'm not playing with all y'all. And the killer's great because, like, just like an example of some things, like Ghostface is really stealthy, like, just like creeping around, trying to like, creep on people. Same thing with like, Michael Myers. Like Michael Myers is just, does the Michael Myers thing, just like, creeping on people from super far away and like charging up and getting like super strong from creeping on people. And then, like, by contrast, there are killers like the Hillbilly, which just have a chainsaw, and like the chainsaw lets you just do like a big chainsaw dash, and people will just like dash all the way across the map. So you have like really stealthy, like creepy, like, you're repairing a generator, and then you look to the left, and then it's like, oh fuck, he's like watching me,
Yeah.
Whereas other killers like Billy, it's like you hear him coming from a mile away, but it's like, oh god, he's you can hear the chainsaw coming, but you're like, it's coming, and you gotta like hide or start running, or there's like a lot of different like different feeling killers.
Yeah, like some of the spookiest fucking moments ever for me were like literally just playing this game on the generator, and I haven't seen the killer yet. I don't know who it is, and I'm like, what's going on? And then I just turn my camera, and there's fucking Mike Myers like standing 30 meters away just staring at me. And it's like legitimately, like, they captured that perfect, like that whole like Mike Myers staring, stalking you, waiting for the right moment to fucking go at you. It's fucking great. Fantastic game.
I mean, it looks like a really fun multiplayer game.
Yeah, and the fact that it's been
I
going
never
for
played
like
it, but it looks really
7 years.
A long
It
time.
still looks good for 7 years old.
Yeah, they've done some graphical updates and things like that.
I mean, to be fair, we're also kind of at the point technology-wise where, you know, games that came out say 10 years ago are still going to look really good now, versus games that came out 20 years ago might be situationally looking good.
Yeah, especially PC games where you can just keep continually updating and they're not locked to a console, right?
Yeah.
It's fucking it. But yeah, Dead by Daylight. Add that to the list unless anyone else.
No,
wants
I'm
to say
excited
anything?
for the next one though. This is like one of my favorites.
Cool. All right, Final Fantasy Tactics. Let's go. Go ahead and start
Solid.
us off, man. Talk about Final Fantasy Tactics.
Who else put it on their list besides me?
I would have assumed it was Justin or something like that. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Was it Josh?
That was my next guess. Doesn't look.
No,
like
it wasn't
it.
me.
Because you have a lot of Final Fantasy, so I thought maybe it was you.
No, I was never too crazy about Tactics.
It's-
It felt too different from like 7, 8, and 9.
It's Dino, but he's AFK right now. So you're gonna have to
All right.
shoulder this load, man.
So for the people that don't know, this is basically sort of a 3/4 view, as you can see on the video. It's a turn-based RPG, sort of in the older style of RPGs, like JRPGs. The thing is you had your main character, which is that guy in blue, Ramza, and then you would make your own team from like randos that you would recruit out in the open. They were just unnamed NPC. And as you would level them up, they would learn the ability to do things within their whatever class, knight or priest or dragoon or whatever. And as you leveled them up, you could then have them learn other classes and other abilities within those classes. The thing that made this game really interesting though was that as you and your party leveled up, the enemies scaled. So you never like got to the point where, oh, I out leveled this beginning area, so therefore it's like, you know, too cheap. Or, oh, I'm just gonna sit here and grind the beginning of the game forever to make the game super easy. To an extent, you can do that because those beginning enemies don't have 40 billion abilities.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not really motivated to sit there and grind for hours and hours in the beginning of the game. And
So there's no like minimum level cap or something like that?
It's all sort of scales with you. So like if you don't do extra battles, like you could do that if you wanted to, just like not do extra battles whenever possible. But the thing is if you encountered an quote enemy and then you got into a battle like this, so you're fighting a bunch of people, and you tried to run away, in the process of trying to run away, you might have one of your characters die anyways, which you don't want. So you're sort of motivated by, if you get into a random encounter, to just fight them anyways.
Yeah.
And like you are sort of motivated to want to level up your character because you get other abilities that, yes, the enemy is leveling up too, which makes them stronger, etc. But by having more abilities, it gives you more options on the battlefield. So like this class that you just earned, that you can make a character now, can now move in different ways on the screen. So they can jump up, you know, obstacles on the screen, or they can jump up in the air and avoid damage for X amount of time, or do more powerful magic attacks, or heal the party, or revive party members faster, or you know, whatever it is. And so it gave you more options. It reminds me a lot more of like playing chess than um like just like a regular um JRPG. Like there's a lot more strategy involved, because even what direction you approach the enemy from, like the direction that you face is going to affect how much damage you take. and how much damage you do. So like it makes sense sometimes to move into a specific area and put your back against the wall so that you can't be damaged from behind.
Yep.
Stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, I remember like the thing I really liked about the game was that like you had your main character, but then basically everything else was free form. Like your party isn't like they're all not named characters; they're all just random people. So like you can have an army full of knights, you can have an army full of wizards, you can mix and match and do like have a lot of like that expression of creativity, whatever you want to call it, and really make some crazy get-ups.
Yeah, you can get some like really wild abilities and stuff. And if you recruit somebody, you're also going to recruit them at level 1. So if you lose a party member and you need to bring in a level 1 character, you can. But it's going to suck, and you're going to have to keep him in the back and keep him alive so he doesn't die. Or revive him, hopefully, So
yeah, because like the three.
So that means 3 turns, and then that character's gone forever. They're dead. So yeah.
And I remember you'd have like some of those heart pumping moments where it's like, fuck, they killed that guy. I gotta end this battle before the number counts down.
Yep. Yeah. And you would also you'd pick up equipment and stuff too, and you'd want to equip stuff to your character, and maybe that character died and you don't pick up their stuff, and yeah, it's just the gameplay alone is like what's so addicting, but the story is really, really good in this game. It's all more political intrigue and less about. It's not really as much about fight the giant thing that's crashing into the planet again. It's more like this king and this thing, this government is trying to take over this, principality or whatever. So it's a lot more interesting as far as the storytelling goes.
Yeah, I remember there's like the whole plot about like one of like the antagonists is like your old best friend and stuff like that. And it's like they try to have it like relatable to where like you see him go to the dark side or whatever, but it's like in his eyes he's doing the right thing. Yeah. I remember that being pretty cool. I also remember you can like unlock Cloud in this game or something like that.
Yeah, there's stuff like that you can unlock.
See if we can find it.
Secret characters.
Yeah, secret characters. So I just remember thinking like that was so goddamn cool. Is he here? I don't know. Wherever he's
playing
supposed to be.
The Cloud story right now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's him right
there.
There
he is. Yeah. Yeah. I just
young man. Yeah.
Yeah. I just remember that this spawned like a whole like universe. Like they based Final Fantasy 12 off this universe. And this just so many people
title. Like it came out and it made a greatest hits, obviously, so it did all right. But most people I talked to didn't play this. Like they played the core Final Fantasy games. This is the one that they played.
Yeah, I remember most people would like, oh yeah, I own 7, or yeah, I own 9, but like everybody just rented Tactics. I didn't know a lot of people that like owned it.
Yeah, I have 2 copies. I love this game, and how it ended up lower on my list, like that's the aggregator magic. But no, I love this game. I would highly recommend this to any of you guys who are sitting here and not played it. It's actually really, really fun. It's kind of addictingly fun, but frustrating in the way that like
it's hard.
It's a hard game. Like it's worth maybe pulling up a walkthrough or something. Like figure out what to do just so you don't get completely fucked.
Yeah, it's hard to get the wheels spinning, I think, but once you like
once you get
there's like
it, it's all right.
There's like the one level I remember, it's like the 3rd or the 4th like story-based battle where it's like it's absolutely brutal. All of a sudden, like instead of fighting like foot soldiers, you're fighting mages and dudes who are shooting arrows across the screen, and you're like you're unless you absolutely know what to do. Oh, hey, it's Aerith. I didn't know that either. But anyway,
is it similar to like the Fire Emblem games?
Yes.
Yeah. Ogre Battle, I think, is its direct copy, right?
Yeah, kind of is a better comparison.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say if you played Shining Force, Tactics is like the next level Shining Force in terms of gameplay and whatnot.
Gotcha.
The one thing I remember about this game is that it takes place on a planet called Iblis. and that's the same planet that Final Fantasy 12 takes place in.
Yep.
And if you guys ever played Vagrant Story, that also takes place on the same planet.
Vagrant Story, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it's all part of Iblis.
That makes sense. The art style is really similar.
Yeah. Yeah, where the whites of their eyes are the same color as their skin. Like that's how I was always able to tell apart as a kid.
The advanced version, the Tactics Advance, it plays different, and it has like sort of half animal, half human versions. So that one's a little more different.
Nice.
But it's that game's good too. Like these people playing the game, if you notice, they're level 47, so obviously
they're smoking it.
They're smoking it. They have a lot of ability to do a lot on the screen. Yeah, see, he just like 2-hit that guy. But like earlier in the game, you definitely aren't doing that. Especially the level you're talking about. It's in a town setting, like outdoor, and you just completely get fucked. Yeah, it's really hard. So I remember the first time I played it, I had no idea, and I had to go try to find a guide somewhere to find out what to do.
Yeah, and I want to say that like most people I knew that like rented the game, they'd go out, they'd rent it, they'd get to that level, get destroyed, and be like, all right, cool, thank you, I'm good.
Once you beat it, it feels really satisfying, and then the game kind of moves to a point where it opens up more classes and more options, and you get more ability to do stuff. You start picking up items that really make your character more powerful, and double hits and combos and all kinds of stuff. It makes the game a lot more interesting.
Yeah,
but you gotta get past that part.
If I had a list of like games that like desperately need more representation, more new games made for it, this is top 3, top 5 for me. It's absolutely insane that they made this game on PS1. They made one Game Boy Advance game, ported that Game Boy Advance game to DS, and that was it.
And that's
Just
it.
Completely fucking done.
If you want a good like spiritual successor, Triangle Strategy is a good option.
That's what I heard. It's like a clone, basically, right?
Yeah, basically,
I haven't
it's
played it
Final
yet.
Fantasy Tactics without being Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah, I just picked up a coffee from a guy at a coffee shop for like $30. Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty
pretty
good.
solid.
Yeah, Dino, you're back. This is on your list too, right?
Maybe I don't know.
It is.
There's a lot of games on my list and a lot of games that should be on my list. So I definitely need to fill out to the 100, I think. But no, this is a solid game. During the PS1 Final Fantasy hype era, and no, it was definitely like the first tactics game I played. Seems like after this game took off, like everybody else needed to make a tactics game, right? Like, so there's, Animusha Tactics and like all this other goofy shit.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot deeper than you'd think. I think like when it first came out, I was too ignorant to actually play it really well. Being like 10 or 11 or however old I was. But no,
this is obviously the Game Boy Advance version.
Yeah, I definitely grew to appreciate it more. Yeah, as I got older. The amount of classes is really cool. That's definitely one of the big draws to it, or jobs, I should say.
When the progression system is designed well, and it's like you want to grind because I want the Geomancer or I want the Time Mage, and it's like I have to level this up to this up to this up, then I can unlock it.
There's a goofy ass class called I think it's a calculator or something like that, and it uses math to kill things. Like if your level is a multiple of 3, like it affects these enemies and like crazy shit like that.
Yeah, Justin, have you ever played any of these games?
I played the Game Boy Advance one and liked it a lot, but I think it was a similar thing where I played it and I was kind of like a little bit too young to be like any good at it. But I remember
it's definitely worth playing as an adult. Play as an adult because it requires like sitting and thinking as you play.
Yeah, I love this game, and it really shows we'll talk about. We're probably going to talk about Into the Breach at some point, but yeah, just seeing like where I feel like when I play that game, I feel like where they took inspiration from this one, just in terms of like I feel like every frustration I have with the Final Fantasy Tactics series is fixed Into the Breach. All the randomness and not
I haven't
understanding
played that,
something.
but I've heard it's really good.
Oh yeah, man. We'll
when I
talk
bought
about
that
it.
game, I played it all weekend. Like when I first
I
bought
remember when you guys bought. Yeah,
It's
no, I remember
incredible.
when you bought it.
it. Yeah, I literally just played it the entire weekend and was like, wow, actually,
Yeah.
it was amazing.
But
That
we
was
will
back when
talk
we were
about
on
it.
the Facebook chat before we got to Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else want to talk about Final Fantasy Tactics? All right. Good. I have not played this advanced one. I have it. I remember Dino, you had it back in the day, but that's
I didn't get as into it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just
I have
like I kind of bought it and slept on it, or I don't know. The original seems like it hit a little harder.
Gotcha.
We're also coming up on 2 hours.
Yeah. How are you guys doing?
Doing
I
all right.
have to
Good.
call it.
Yeah, I think we're all good to go. Let's keep going. I was kidding.
You guys can do whatever you want.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
All good.
Looks
Is
like it might be episode 4, right?
We're gonna
There you
keep
go.
going until we get through it. So who knows? But
Mhm.
I mean, it's fun to like sit here and wax nostalgia about video games. So
It is fun to sit here and whack. Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, is the 2 hour mark something up with for your stream, or are you
Nope.
just telling me the time?
I'm
Okay.
just telling everybody the time because that's in the past. That's
Done
we-
2 and 2.5.
when we've stopped it. Yeah.
yeah, about there, right?
Cool. Yeah, and then we get this little bracket. It'll be nice and clean. Cool. All right. Well, I think that's it. That's it. Thank you for joining us, but it's for us. So, good job
us a
watching it again.
Give us a recap of next episode.
Of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, give us what's coming up.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
We're gonna argue about Majora's Mask for sure.
Ooh, that's fun. I'll be really
Are
stoked
we
to
though?
talk about
It's just me
Inscription.
one person upset about it, and everybody.
Majora's Mask, more like mid Majora's Mask.
You're fired from the chat.
We definitely some great discussions there. Like, it's always fun to talk about stuff like Onimusha because you don't really talk. It doesn't really.
I
get brought
can't
up
wait to
much.
talk about Onimusha. It's one of my favorite games.
Fucking
Love
shame.
game.
That game deserves so much more attention than it gets.
Dude.
Yep.
And they came out. They did. Okay, we'll talk about it later.
Be lots of fun, spirited conversation about Overwatch.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Inscription, Majora's Mask, Mass
Aw.
Effect 3. I'm like, that'll probably
That'll be
a short
interesting.
conversation.
No multiplayer.
Yeah, I
Had a
put it
lot of
on
good
my
memory.
list.
Yeah.
All right, till next time. Let's another 4 months probably, right? All right.
Oh,
So,
Jesus. No.
all right, signing off. See
All right,
you.
see you guys.
You guys-
Mm.